Greetings, my name is Slight, and this is a Ao Bai OverExplain, the first dog OverExplain that I've done. And this is going to explain exactly how to do the atomic bomb build in high reincarnation runs, and some of the interesting features of this build and why it's better than you may have originally given it credit for. Atomic bomb looks like a joke, and in many cases it is a joke, but it can be done right, and when it's done right, it can do very well. Something to keep in mind in this build is that I do get very lucky with my Ascensions and some of my Scrolls, but that is not an indication of the fact that this cannot work normally. Grenades serve a purpose on the dog, and understanding how to actually utilize atomic bomb is very important. We're going to learn that regardless of whether or not we can perform a full grenade build every game in our Reincarnation 5, 6, and 7. But a lot to learn here, so let's get started. First thing is that I really like to take grenade bonuses early. So things like overconsumption or skill freak or atomic bomb or one dog army, obviously, because it's so strong, are going to be really, really exceptional picks in the early game for the Ao Bai because he kind of seems to struggle early. You don't have super high movement speed. Dual wield is kind of tough because you can't really play a slow game. So like normally you're in a position where you can just play what weapon you have and play that type of game, but dual wield seems to like really incentivize you to do damage when it's on, so it makes you sort of have to advance, and you're sort of weak when you're not advancing. So having good grenade damage early is very good. Skill freak, I think, is always worth it, the early pick, especially things like overconsumption. Very, very strong. Even atomic bomb is quite good early. So we pick up skill freak, and it just lets us do easy stuff early game like this. Very easy to clear these people. This is the area where you can be forced to play very slow, even as the dog. Even this early in the game. So make short work of that room, no problem. And we are going to pick up sustained fire here. Sustained fire is incorrect. It says weapon damage and explosion damage increased by 50% for 6 seconds. This is actually not correct. It does not increase explosion damage. It increases grenade damage. So read this as weapon damage and grenade damage plus 50% for 6 seconds. That's an additive damage boost. So that's good for what we're doing. It's going to give us weapon damage for the late game. It's going to give us grenade damage for now. Ember Eruption is okay. Survival Instinct are okay. We want something that's going to be a little bit more impactful now because we expect that we're going to be able to get this like a Gemini dual wield combo by mid game that's going to be able to kill just about anything. So especially if we're abusing miasma, and you'll see that I don't abuse miasma in this run because that's something I'm trying not to do. Although when I eventually go for the R7 on dog, I may have to abuse miasma in its current state, but we'll see. Maybe I can get away without it. Pick up sustained fire, and let's just take a look at how much damage we're going to be doing once we get this going. Something to keep in mind is we can keep sustained fire going by shooting items. So now we're doing 2800. We've gained 700 damage on our grenades, and you see I was doing 1680 when sustained fire wasn't activated. No, that was actually on a defensive enemy. Ignore what I just said. That's why he took 1680 there from grenades. So here we are immediately presented early game with lose 70% life and gain 274 gold, which is a yes, always want to do this, always want to lose 75% life because there's a 25% chance for doubling your gold. 548 is a free upgrade. That is so strong. We are given energy sandals, which is great for what we're doing, and untold effort and resilient life, both very good for what we're doing. So untold effort says specifically that it doubles the damage, 50% chance to double the damage, which means it's a multiplicative increase, which is important because we're going to start calculating some damage here in just a bit. Resilient life is great on us. Really can't go wrong with that. And one thing to keep in mind is that because any room that you have a Kermit in is much easier than normal, especially when you're going for a secondary skill build, because you just gained 16 charges, assuming you don't have any maximum capacity increases, but you gained 2 times your maximum capacity of secondary skills for each room that the Kermit is in. So if I had atomic bomb early, the rooms where you have Kermit are exceptionally good because you could potentially throw so many grenades in such a short amount of time. All right, so we're looking at 280, 280. We heal. That's smart. Whoever. Oh, and now we're getting into some juicy damage. So let me pull up a calculation real quick. Okay, I figured it out. So the reason we're getting 5,600 for this calculation is we've got 500 base damage for Grenade, plus 200 from our talents, dog talents. Now this is all the additive damage increases. So we've got 50% skill damage increase from the talent tree. We've got 50% from sustained fire. We've got a double multiplicative increase from Untold Effort and a double multiplicative increase from Skill Freak. All of that combines to 5,600. So what this means when we're looking at this is that if we get any more additive increases, which would be like, you know, energy sandals can go from 0% to a 600% additive increase. So a 600% full stack of energy sandals would look something like this. So 22,000. Oh, I think I clicked it twice. Let's see if we can go back here. There we go. Yeah, so plus 6 enter. So that's 22,000 damage on a grenade. So anything that we can get that's going to further increase multiplicative damage is going to start getting really ridiculous. So we will come back to this, but keep in mind that this here is the energy sandals. And so even after, what, this is 4 dashes here, we're starting to look at some crazy damage on these grenades. Okay, we're back in the game. All right, so we got a little bit of a sense of how the damage is working. Right there you saw me pick up Grenade Master. Let's see if I can actually catch that. I did not edit it very well. Oh, I can do this next frame stuff. Great. Okay, so explosive grenade base damage plus 100%. That's another multiplicative, like double damage. And there's a 30% chance not to consume a grenade. That's great. That's exactly what we want to see early game for this type, for even on every Ao Bai game. It's not so important to get the more grenades as it is to get the base damage up. Here we're getting enhanced brutal gloves. I mean, we got a great build going. We got something really spicy going on there, and that's awesome. You know, you don't always get that, but we can still learn from this in every run, as opposed to just having to get lucky to get this going. One thing that I'm showing this particular scene because the way that I'm playing Ao Bai right now, excuse me, it's really important for me to have one weapon like the Fire Dragon here that I can just hold down fire, and then the other weapon I can you know, actually aim and click a little bit more. That allows me to like not go into like sensory overload when I'm using dual wield, and allows me to like kind of make decisions as opposed to just sort of like wildly shooting at whatever's on my screen. And that seems to work pretty well for me. So here we'll start getting some pretty good damage going. So boom. All right, 19,000 damage grenade. And we're doing explosion damage this early in the game. One of the best ways to play Ao Bai is just to take advantage of elemental combinations early in the game. And if you're really looking to exploit it, you know, a miasma build is going to be even stronger than this. Miasma right now is really, really strong. So Arms Dealer actually happens to be extremely good for this build, but that's not going to be realized until much further down the line. So we're not going to talk about it much more now. Just recognize that plus 30% all damage dealt does work with what we're doing, and it turns out that it is much better than it may seem. And here we've got 72 stacks of energy sandals, and he's dead. We're doing lots of damage. So here, there's all 3 of these are pretty good for this build. Close Call is just so strong, and it's worth consideration. If I was to redo this, I might pick Close Call over what I do pick, but I pick Precise Explosion, and that's because it improves explosions or you know, grenade damage against a single target, which it's likely to do when you're doing a grenade. They're not the biggest explosions, but importantly, Precise Explosion is multiplicative, so it is a much more powerful damage boost than most other ones. And let me show you that real quick. So let's go ahead and update this. So we just gained a 100% base damage increase on grenades, so that's another ×2 here. And we gained a 30% multiplicative damage boost, which looks like this. Okay, and so because it's not additive, so it's not getting added together in this group of additive bonuses, so it's a more powerful damage increase. So when we start doing this, we're starting to get really high consistent numbers because of what we're doing here. You know, we have very little energy sandal here, but we're just getting these crazy numbers because of all the multiplicative damage boosts we're doing. All right, so we pick up Precise Explosion, and boom, gotta love to see that. It just feels strong. It feels great. Have such consistent high damage. Here we're gonna pick up Battle Tested. Battle Tested is just you know, extremely strong. Normally I would probably pick up Berserk Soul or Magnetic Coil there. But I go for Flesh and Bones because Flesh and Bones has some utility early. It's actually the worst for what I use it for on the dog. But I end up keeping it the whole run, even though I don't think it's as strong as... I think I would prefer 50 shield than Flesh and Bones, even on Ao Bai. Double Explosions here. You know, we've got the dream of explosion build, but stay with me, because there's a lot to learn about this. All right, so cool, we're doing great. Now Prism here I pick up specifically because I've learned some things about the dog. So one of the cool things about the dog is that in dual wield, your secondary weapon, it does two things. One, it takes the movement speed of your main weapon. So when I have a Prism in my main hand, even if I've got a launcher Tiger Cannon in the other hand, I'm moving at plus 20 speed, and the speed of this weapon has no effect on my movement speed. So these light weapons are actually much stronger than you might realize when they're good enough. You know, this is a strong one. We've got Lucky Shot, we've got double consumption, and we've got this crit increase. That's quite a strong Prism, mostly because we're using it to apply decay. So +1 projectile and consumption with the 30% decay is a really high chance to apply decay. So that's great. That's what we're going to use it for. But most importantly, what it does is it keeps us fast. And dogs have a really hard time staying alive. And so one of the ways that we can mitigate that is just by keeping these light weapons as our main weapon, and then keeping our damage weapon, our like heavy hitter that slows us down, as the secondary weapon. And that's something that you're going to see me doing here. That's why I pick up Prism, and it helps me out a lot. So there's a couple things to know about the Golem here. First off, let's just watch some juicy damage. Oh, God, you just love to see grenades do literally a quarter of a boss's health, don't you? And so right here, there was a lot of stalagmites. I think mites come up from the bottom. Tight is top, mite, I don't know. Anyway, stalagmites come up and hit me because I can't dodge through a couple of them in a row like that. So what I do is I drop Flesh and Bones. And what Flesh and Bones does when you drop it is it scales your current HP based on the max HP change. So I went from 58 health to 48 health because my max HP changed from like 200 to 155. So that ratio remains the same. And shout out to Altana, hopefully I've said your name correctly, in the Discord, who really did a great job explaining how that works. And was so very helpful in explaining a couple things after my bird tier list. There was a couple things that were wrong on the wiki, or had yet to be updated rather, and he took me through those and made that clear. So the next time the bird gets updated and I have to do another tier list, those changes will be reflected in it. Anyway, so he explained all that to me, but you only lose 10 health, but you gain all of your armor back. So this was a heal of 45 armor, 45 shield. All right, really important to take out these flying things. And I've heard people tell you move back and to the right on this guy or dodge left and right, but the best way to do it, if you've got the move speed like I've set myself up to do, knowing I'm going to fight the golem, is you can just dodge right forward through it, and it's a very good way to deal with it. And I just killed him with like 5 grenades, right? There's only 5 grenades. So here we're going to pick up Close Call. Close Call is extremely strong, no reason to skip it. And I recognize that I'm talking too much, but I've got so much to tell you guys, all right? We are rewarded for our efforts. We are rewarded. We are given Atomic Bomb. Okay, guys? The Atomic Bomb build is real. It just became real. All right? And so we are going to learn some stuff right now. First off, it's really strong. It's really strong. Does a lot of damage. Okay? But we run out of grenades. And so I'm going to make the case that that's really not actually a bad thing. That overall, like, this would actually be worse if it stopped at 3 grenades, because we're going to throw way more grenades overall, if we run out of grenades consistently, because the way the game works is that when you're extremely low on like ammo or secondary skills, the game gives you more of them, but you have to be very low. So when you're at 0 grenades, you're much more likely to get grenades from the random destructible debris around you. The same thing can be said about ammo, and I'll say this. If you're constantly running out of ammo and you're looking to refill and you end a fight and you're like down to like 20% of your reserves and you've got a magazine full, shoot all of your ammo, literally, except for what's in the magazine. And then once all that's done, kill all the destructibles and don't pick up any of the ammo they drop. Because when you're super, super low on ammo in the game will give you gobs of it. It will throw ammo at you. And so you kill all of those destructibles. You know, there's literally like 20 ammo boxes sitting on the ground, and then you pick it all up and you're back to full. Very strong in the dark. All right, we're doing good. We're doing good. And we trigger it. And so one of the things that's really annoying is that you kind of waste all these grenades. Or do you? Why? Why? Guys. Why do I have 7 grenades? That's because Grenade Master had... Okay, so the Grenade Master has a 30% chance not to consume a grenade. Well, if you trigger Grenade Master and you trigger Atomic Bomb at the same time, you throw all of your grenades for free. You throw all of them for free. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry about the image tearing. Hopefully it'll catch up here. Let me pop back. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's really strong and something to keep in mind. So we're starting to recognize that when we throw all of our grenades, we're going to get more grenades back. So that's good. We have a chance to throw all our grenades and not actually have thrown any. So we did this huge amount of damage without actually any cost. So that's really good. And you can just kind of listen to me, because this whole scene is just to show you that holding a prism is really strong. And I'm 20% faster than I am holding this cavalry. If I had the weapon swapped, it would be... like, I would not be able to just dance around these guys like this. But right now, I can literally just dance, you know? And it's because I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm holding this prism. And so, you might have seen this clip floating around Reddit, floating around the Discord, but get ready. He's dead. Oh, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. So that was a full grenade kill. And what we're seeing here is a couple things, okay? Couple things to keep in mind. First off, was that all of these damage instances are the same. So let's pop back here. That means that Energy Sandals is applying its bonus damage to every single grenade. Every grenade throw is throwing 2 grenades, and we're getting the bonus of sustained fire here. All right, so I throw here, all right? And so all of these get consumed, right? But all of them do bonus damage. That's why it's some of the craziest damage that you can see. So that's a cute little interaction, but most of our damage isn't coming from Energy Sandals. Energy Sandals are just extra. And granted, it is actually pretty good. So here we get to pick up Precise Explosion number 2. We're increasing that multiplicative damage by 15%, and that's great. 52,000 damage with a grenade. One thing to keep in mind is that grenades are quite good against Rogue Arsonists because they do explosion. Most explosion damage is better against them because all of that damage overlaps. It hits the Arsonist's health, but it also hits his barrel at the same time. So, like that, he's dead because all of your splash damage hit his barrel, and he's done. We're going to pick up Sustained Fire here. Remember that this is just for grenade damage. It doesn't affect actual explosion damage. And here we're starting to get a sense of like what our playstyle is going to be. We're not going to be throwing, like just constantly throwing grenades, because we want to use these high ammo consumption weapons to take advantage of battlefield support is the talent that gives you secondaries for how much ammo you consume. So the idea is to kind of use high consumption weapons, all right, and to replenish our secondary stacks by shooting and constantly be throwing out these grenades and aligning ourselves, you know, so that if we, so like here, this was a great example that kind of got messed up because this guy's immortal, but if he wasn't immortal, he would have died and then all of the grenades would have gone through him and hit the guy in the back. Now, kind of funny, I included it because I thought it was just so funny, but here, you know, watch my grenades, you know, watch how long it takes me. It doesn't take too long for me to get another one back, you know, especially when I'm burning through ammo like with this particular weapon. Here, it's really important to know what, you know, keep in mind that Miasma is not going to be OP forever. Spirit Feline is not going to be OP forever. And you're not going to be able to use Demon Lore Advanced Depot combos to win Reincarnation 7 for the rest of time. Those are going to get addressed. So it's important to know like what pieces of your build are actually not working very well and or not necessary, because you want to maximize what you're doing. You want to further what you're already succeeding at. And so Elemental Torrent, while obviously fine, wasn't like synergizing with the build that I'm going. So I am Cutthroat here, and I get rid of it, even though it's a great scroll, and I'm rewarded for that with Lightless Shield, which is extremely good and exactly the kind of thing that I'm looking for. So here I think we get a little bit of showings of kind of how I'm doing stuff. You know, right there I got an Atomic Bomb and a Grenade Master trigger at the same time. I only threw 3 grenades, but that's plenty, and I get to keep all those grenades. So one of the cool things about this build is that you might be thinking that it's like an all or nothing one-hit kill kind of thing, but really the reason it's good is because you can keep doing this. If you build this correctly, you build smart, you know what you're getting yourself into, you can keep your grenades up a lot, and it's very easy to just kind of keep them quite high. See, that was an Atomic Bomb trigger that had no negative impact on my actual overall grenades. You know? Very cool stuff. Very cool. Here we get Resolute, which is great, and Tactical Reload, both very strong for what we're trying to do. Love to see that. Now, my movement speed is looking a lot better. You know, I've got that permanent plus 25% move speed because Resolute is always triggered when you have Flesh and Bones. So, you'll see that I'm more willing to get rid of Prism now because I really want to meet a threshold of movement speed gain. And after that threshold, it starts to get redundant. But it is a relatively high. I mean, you can't go wrong with more. Can't go wrong with more move speed. But I would be more willing to try something else because Prism doesn't really do a lot. Adrenal Rush is extremely strong and totally worth picking. There are only like 3 S-tier Ascensions on the dog, and that is one of them. You know, most of his Ascensions are not very strong. Here, it looks like I kind of don't use... I'm like trying to build up stacks of my energy sandals to try to get a one-hit kill. And you can't blame me, can you? But, it, you know, I try to kill all these people. And so, here we go. Kill this guy real nice and slow. I obviously, like, these grenades that I'm not casting are like a big thing. You know, I'm up to 144 here. And... we don't get it. But we end up doing around 31,000 damage, which really indicates to me that we didn't get the Untold Effort trigger, which would have probably put them around 60, you know, 62 or 64,000 damage. So, I mean, fine, but we want to go back to just doing consistent damage. And as you can see, the beauty of this build is not its one-shot kills, but how, like, consistently you can keep the damage going. And imagine if I get a single Atomic Bomb trigger here. I mean, this guy's dead. And I didn't get a single Atomic Bomb trigger in, like, 10 throws there, you know? And that's okay. We didn't need it. Here, this is an easy triple comeback. Triple comeback's just amazing. I mean, it is super strong. Alright, I'm killing people. Sometimes I edit these videos and I'm not exactly sure like why I include scenes. I try to include scenes that are like important for a reason, but sometimes like the reason that I wanted to do it is lost on me. Really, I just think I'm trying to show you, you know, how the build is working right now. And now it's starting to work pretty well. I've got some good ways to keep my grenades filled up, and I'm doing pretty good damage. And I'm really enjoying this part of the game too. Like this is probably some of the most fun Ao Bai play that I've ever had. You know, I'm just doing so much damage for where I'm at. I'm at a high Reincarnation level, and I'm playing a spicy build that's not very common. I mean, can't go wrong with that. Look at that. I mean, it's so fun. And if I had got the trigger of Grenade Master, it would have been even better. But now that I'm at 0 grenades, I now have 2 ways to get grenades back, importantly. Right now I have a pretty good way of getting it back by using Laser Glove to just burn through normal ammo. Every 40 normal ammo gives me a secondary charge. Or I can bust these barrels, and they're very likely to give me grenades because I'm low on grenades. So here I think we've already played this room once in this run already, but we're playing it again. And see, like, we actually expended all of our grenades right there, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Oh no, we get a good trigger there. So that's just, we had 4 grenades, and we got Atomic Bomb, and we got Grenade Master. And it's just really strong. And so you know, this is just kind of a showing of how much fun this is to play. And I think that you can do, like, you don't have to actually be doing quite as much damage as I'm doing for this to be useful. This fits in with a normal style of play. You know, this isn't anything super special, considering what you want to be doing. Hopefully I'm making sense. I feel like I lost my train of thought there. But what I'm trying to say is that Atomic Bomb can fit in what you're doing. So here we get Enhanced Gold Medal. This gives you 15% max shield and armor when you cast a secondary skill. And normally I would think it'd be like totally busted, but it's like only okay on the dog. Because it doesn't really, I don't think it actually does anything for me, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might heal me. I'm not sure. So we get Sustained Fire 3 there. And the big deal with Sustained Fire is the last 20 seconds. So it's just really easy to keep it up. And that's great. So we've got plus 100 additive damage pretty much at all times with our grenades. Alright, so it's time to fight Itchy, Ichthyosaurus, the worm. And I go for it again. I'm trying to get these, you know, one-shot kills, but you know what? We'll settle for some just pretty good damage, and we'll start pumping him full of lead. And obviously, oh, there we get it. That's really fun, isn't it? That's just so fun. You know, obviously, Ao Bai has a really easy time dealing with bosses. He just pumps out so much damage and has a better time than most units or most heroes at dealing with bosses, especially early. You know, like it's kind of hard to have a really powerful Gemini on every character at this point, but you know, this is the time where you do get that Gemini going, and once you have 2 Geminis, your dual wield gets, or when you have dual wield, your Gemini is doubly powerful because they have 2 weapons that are both benefiting from it. Grenade Master level 2, can't go wrong with that. This is another plus 50% multiplicative increase and a 45% chance not to consume a grenade, which is just ideal for what we're wanting to do. Ideal. Alright, so now we get to the chunky guys. The damage, and also I picked up a higher consumption weapon after the Wind God there. So now I've got 2 weapons. I've got this set to shooting the scalpel. I've got shooting 2 bullets at the same time. So this increases my consumption significantly, which therefore means that I can throw more grenades while I shoot this guy. But you know, I should be throwing grenades. And one of the things that I get better at as I do this is like noticing when I trigger Atomic Bomb and then like dragging my cursor so that it actually hits more than one enemy. It's kind of tough to do that. It all happens at once. You know, one thing that I might suggest that they change is like reducing the speed at which those come out so that you have a little bit more control over it. And it doesn't need to be much, but that would be a quality of life increase for this particular build. And as you can see, we're hitting like, you know, pretty consistently like 40,000 grenade ticks and stuff like that. So that's great. Nice. Yeah, 42,000 here. And so this is one of those rooms where like things aren't quite working out for me because I don't keep them corralled in one direction and they keep hopping up on these things. Like this is just not easy for me to deal with, this type of room. And so it gets a little squirrely, and it takes a while. This room does. So just something to kind of keep in mind, while you're doing this. You really want to position yourself where like there are enemies behind the enemy in front of you, because you're gonna be much more successful if you can do that. But watch my grenades here. Combined with the fact that I'm not consuming grenades about half the time when I throw them, and with the super high consumption that I have with my 2 weapons, it's very easy for me to keep my grenades very high. So right now you're seeing, you know, me be able to cast so many grenades in that fight, and that's part of it. Here I think I either pick Overload or Twin Gunner. Twin Gunner actually has a case here because doubling our ammo consumption, yeah, gives us even more charges faster. And really, you know, what we want to do is throw lots of grenades. You know, we're really not interested in like shooting for all of our damage. Most of our damage comes from grenades, and look at how many grenades we are just keeping going, even though we're constantly casting them. You know, boom, absolute destruction. And it's because we planned ahead. Fisher Bear Paw's fine, doesn't really impact us too much. Here we probably pick up either Battle Tester or Overloading. These two would be my pick. Overloading, I think, is what I do pick up, but I think it's a little overkill on the ammo consumption front. So I don't know if I would do that again. Speaking of overkill on ammo consumption, one of the best ways to take advantage of this type of build, any type of build where you're using a high rate of fire weapon and trying to get secondary charges, is Bullet Light. Bullet Light is another significant increase in your consumption, and consumption means that you have more secondary fires to do. And so here you can see me testing it out. You know, how many grenades can I get off of one clip? And, you know, I can burn through a clip so fast now, which is like, you know, one grenade in 1 second. So now it's getting like very easy for me to do what I'm doing. Just kind of keep shooting in between throwing grenades, which is interesting because it's the reverse of how you normally do it. You know, we're not trying to shoot a whole bunch, and that's what's letting us do this type of like kind of crazy damage. Super cool, isn't it? So glad I was able to get this off the ground these robust soldier guys are really tanky. Because I think you have to like crit them or do elemental damage normally to get them really dead. But, I mean, I'd love to go back and count how many grenades I just threw. It had to be a ridiculous number. But even now, so you're going to see me use my ammo trick here that I talked about earlier. And ammo does become a problem for me. So here, well, at least I should have done it. It doesn't seem like I did do it. Or maybe I did and it's just not in the video. And see, that kind of throw that I just did, I should be throwing from this angle when I'm throwing against this guy. Because I want, if I kill him with just like that, then I want all those grenades to go behind him. And right now I'm starting to run into ammo problems. And hopefully I don't show you all that. But what we can tell is it's very easy for me to keep my grenades high. And, you know, the build is succeeding very well. This is much more accessible in the lower difficulties. You know, you can easily do this on, like, you know, Elite or Reincarnation 1 or 3, just to, like, play the build. But I think it does... Like, it can be good, especially early, to know exactly how all this stuff works. Now, Deft Hands is interesting. My understanding is that Bullet Light still consumes when Deft Hand is triggered. So, we're still doing some consumption with Deft Hands, but at this point, my ammo consumption was starting to be a problem, so I did keep Deft Hands. We get Grenade Master 3, so now we've got a full 200% multiplicative damage increase, and we get 3 dashes, which makes Energy Sandals that much better, because now we can pump this up really quickly. And so this room is particularly difficult for me. I think I died twice in this room. And it's because I don't know what like gets me right there. Like, it just knocks me down instantly. Because I don't think the Annihilation Monk is what did all that damage. But this Robust guy is see right there? I think it's either the Catfish Gunners or this guy. See this little smiley face? I forget his name, but I think he's the big problem. Alright. Yeah, and you can see that, let's get this triggered. No, that's good. Here, okay. Man, there's a lot of stuff on this bottom tray. Alright, there it is. Okay, so we get Deft Hands triggered. Okay, let's see what our consumption looks like. Oh yeah, so I think that the way that it works is Bullet Light still consumes from your reserves, and the Twin Gunner also still pulls from your reserves, even though Deft Hands is triggered. So Deft Hands is actually pretty good in this build. I didn't know that until just now, so that's good to know. Looks like I managed to keep my one... Oh, here it goes. I lag here. I don't know what kills me. I lag to death. Hate it when that happens. Doesn't happen often, but it did happen today. And so I do a pretty good job aiming the grenades right there. Not ideal, but wow, isn't that cool looking? So satisfying. And that Kappa, I think, just disappeared. Did you see that? Okay, watch this Kappa here. Okay. Alright. Alright, you're dead. You're dead. And we are not struggling at all. We've got 8 grenades. No problem. Sweet. Let's do it. More explosion. And I don't have to fight this room, but I wanted to because it's fun. And some of the coolest stuff that I get to do happens in this room. Especially some multiple triggers of the grenade, because I'm not afraid of like running out of grenades at all in this room. So I really do a much better job of keeping up with my grenade usage, better than I have been doing in the rest of the run. And so like here I'm going to start getting some huge amounts of triggers of atomic bomb, and really keeping my grenade usage very high. Look at that. Oh, it's so fun. And I haven't run out of grenades because my Grenade Master, like the level 3 Grenade Master, is so powerful with Atomic Bomb. Just those two are enough to make it like worth playing, because you get like such a high chance not to consume any of your grenades when you trigger it. So we're ready for the boss. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, I dash around to try to get this up to 600 before I fight the boss. So this takes a while. Okay, I got 600. Alright. Are we going to do it? Are we going to beat him with one shot? 30% chance right here. Oh, no. We didn't get it. Okay, but hold on. Let's see the damage. Alright, so kind of maxed out here. Alright, yeah. 225,000 damage with a grenade. And we could have done literally 16 of those in a row, which would have been amazing. Look at that. The damage is legit. The damage is legit. Alright, fighting the scary snake. Scary snake's dipping and dodging, trying to murder him. I still feel like after the change that these little snakes that he summons didn't really change much. You know, I could be wrong about that, but like I don't feel like I'm taking damage from them. Boom, we did it. We did it. And now you can do it. Now you can do it. So a couple things to look at here that were key. Bullet Light was an unexpected good. Untold Effort, multiplicative damage. What else are we looking at here? Energy Sandals applies to all of the grenades thrown, even though it's an additive increase, so it's not nearly as big. Like most of this is not integral to the build. You know, we've got Brutal Gloves, which is strong. And I think that's all that's really working for us here. And then I think I do a good job of capturing the rest of it. And the main things with the weapons is I want high consumption weapons. I just need things that shoot quick, like Tau does. And that's going to be successful. And so here we've got Grenade Master level 3, Precise Explosion level 2, the double grenade, the explosion enhancements, like whatever, and then Skill Freak and Atomic Bomb. And that's the build. Please tell me how this goes when you try it. The most important things are to know is that with an early level of a Grenade Master and Atomic Bomb, you're already looking like you're in a pretty good spot to get through the early game. Just those two, as they are a very strong early combination. That's one Ascension, one Spiritual Remnant, and you're looking really good because you have a fair chance at keeping your grenades going. And if you get a little bit of increases, those will really help you get through the early game. So hopefully this was useful for you. Hopefully this was as epic as I thought it was. And I kept it under 40 minutes because I'm going to stop talking almost exactly right now. Have a wonderful day.